Back now, recognize the gentlelady of Florida, Ms. Lee, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to you, sir. We appreciate you being with us today. I would like to start by acknowledging that we appreciate your commitment to returning the EPA to its intended and appropriate mission. You touched on something just a few moments ago that is so important, and that is that we can both protect the environment and grow the economy simultaneously. So your commitment and your vision that the EPA needs to get back to that function and focus on finding efficiencies, whether it relates to permitting, application review, or any of the other compliance standards that have operated as an inhibition to productivity and economic growth, that you're committed to doing that responsibly is very important. Among other things, you have emphasized a return to the EPA's core statutory responsibilities. Basing regulatory decisions on sound science is essential, whether the issue is air, water, or chemicals. We have seen repeated reliance on the Integrated Risk Information System, or IRIS, a program that was not authorized by Congress and has long been criticized for a lack of transparency and scientific rigor. Can you speak to how you intend to restore confidence in EPA chemical assessments and ensure greater transparency for those who are engaging with the agency?
Number one, it's important to follow the science, to follow sound science, to consider all science in making the best decision possible.
Now, one thing you touched on a moment ago that I think is really important, on the subject of powering the great American comeback and the 5 pillars, the American energy dominance, you referenced not just permitting reform, but that one essential component of that was interagency coordination, so that people who are engaged in that process don't go through years of review only to then get to the end and encounter a different government agency. Share with us a little bit more about how you're working on that and why you think it's important.
There are equities that different agencies have in a permitting process, and it would be a much better idea going forward when Congress is considering possible ways to do it legislatively, or agencies are figuring out ways to do it in the meantime, to work with those who are applying for the permit in a simultaneous, efficient process. I've heard from members of Congress where there's a company over in Europe that does 70% of their business in China, and they want to bring a multi-billion-dollar investment into the United States. But the reason why they're not going into that state here in the US is because they feel like it'll take too much time, that years down the road, and after they spend a fortune, they may still not get an approval at the end of the process. And if there's more certainty, less time, less cost, that decision for that business in Europe will be to come to bring their dollars here. It doesn't make sense to me that 20 months down the road, out of nowhere, Fish and Wildlife might be giving them a complaint of something that they need to deal with that you could have just told them a year and a half earlier. And the same thing on EPA's front. If there's any EPA equity in a permitting reform where we need an applicant to do something, we don't want to wait 2 years down the road and then gum up the works. Just be forthcoming with those applying for the permit out of the gate. And let them know what EPA is going to need so that they can address it. And that's what we have been doing with permit applicants all across the country since I was confirmed.
Similarly, one of the things that is of great interest to many of us here in Congress is ensuring that the United States does remain the artificial intelligence capital of the world. I would love to hear more about your perspective on how the EPA can be part of ensuring that we achieve that objective.
For one, it's going to require more baseload power. What's interesting, when I was going through the confirmation process, meeting with Senate EPW Republicans and Democrats, everyone was agreeing that we need to make America the AI capital of the world. And at least privately, everybody was agreeing that we're going to need more power in order to be able to do that. And I think that there is room here for Congress and for the administration to heed the call of the American public to help get that investment to win this race. And there are some people who might be your constituents, might be a bit spooked by how powerful AI is and what it might become. But if we don't lean into it, we're going to lose, and China will eat our lunch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back.